Okay, so I'm going to have to talk over my printer here. Sorry about that, but that's okay. Volume of prisms and cylinders. Now, we're getting into three-dimensional objects. You can see I have several of them here. The general rule that you want to think about for the volume of a prism of any kind is you want to take the area of the base, no matter what size it is, or what shape it is. So if it's a triangle, you're going to find the area of the triangle. If your base is a pentagon, you're going to find the area of the pentagon. You take the area of the base, and you're going to multiply it by the height. Okay, so that actually makes life pretty easy if we can remember that. Now, when we have a base, many times it's fairly easy to see. I can see right here that this is my base in this circumstance. I have a base that's a square, and I know it's a square because I have 4 right angles that are noted there. Okay, now, before I keep going here, let me notate this for you. Any volume is equal to the area of the base, and they use a capital B to denote that. So whenever you see capital B, that means the area of the base times the height, and that's what I just wrote in words right there. That's the formula we're going to use. So if my base is a square, to find the area of the base, I multiply side times side. So if my bases are 10, or if my sides are 10, the volume will equal 10 times 10. That's the base area, right? A square that's 10 and 10. I would find the area of that base by doing 10 times 10. And then the height, what's the height? Well, the height would be 11. That's the height of my cube, or not my cube, my rectangular prism here. So there's 11. So all I have to do is 10 times 10 times 11. 10 times 10 times 11. That gives me a volume of 1100. And the way we label volume is kind of sort of like we did with area. We're going to call it meters, but volume is to the 3rd power because area takes 2 terms or 2 numbers to multiply. Volume takes 3, which is why we need the 3 right there. So when we have something called a rectangular prism, meaning it looks like a box of some kind, all the sides are either squares or rectangles, it makes volume pretty easy to find. So if I did volume here, again, my base, it really doesn't matter which side you call the base. I'm going to call that one because, again, it's got all my right angles there. So, again, it's a square. Again, it's 10 by 10, so I'm going to do 10 times 10. And then the other measurement that's given to me right there would be my height, and that's 7. So 10 times 10 times 7 would be 700. And I would call that meters to the 3rd because volume is always to the 3rd power. Okay, now I have some things called triangular prisms. Now you can see that the base on these guys would be a triangle. So looking at right here, I have a triangle as the base. The sides are still actually rectangles if you look at it closely. If you kind of turned it on its side, it would be a triangle here, but standing upright it makes a rectangle on the side. So the area of my base is going to be a little bit different. This time if the base is a triangle, I have to do 1/2 base times height of that triangle, and then I'm going to multiply it by the height of the prism. Now I know the height of the prism is 11 feet. Now let's talk about the triangle itself. 1/2. Now if I look at a triangle and I've got it like this, now there's a little important piece of information right there. It tells me that's a right angle. So I actually have a right triangle. So if I looked at that right triangle, I'm going to draw that right triangle right here just so that I can get a better picture. Looks like I have 4 feet on this side, 3 feet there, and from over here, I can tell that I have something that is 5 feet. So 3, 4, 5 right there. I'm going to do 1/2 of the base, which would be 3, times the height, which is 4. Multiply all that together times the height of the actual prism, and I will have my answer. So 1/2 times 3 times 4 times 11 gives me 66 feet to the 3rd power. Okay, so if I did that here, now looking at this triangular base, the triangular base, 1/2 base times height. So that's the base of the triangle. The base of the triangle would be 10 feet. And the height of the triangle they give me is 2.2 feet. So 1/2 base times height times the actual height of the prism. And it looks like the prism itself is 4 feet tall. So times 4, that's going to give me a volume of, let's see, 1/2 times 10 times 2.2, not 22, 2.2 times 4 gives me 44 feet cubed. Okay. Now again, you can go back if you need to watch this video again and look at these again. Volume is something, there's also probably a million YouTube videos out there that you could search for as well. Last thing we have today are cylinders. Cylinders are prisms, they just happen to have a circular base. And we just spent an entire module looking at area of circles. So again, if I follow the formula from above where I find the area of the base and multiply it times the height. Well, I know that the height of this cylinder is 11. How do I find the area of the base if the base is a circle? Well, that would be pi times r squared. So if I do pi times 11 squared, that's the area of the base, times another 11 gives me 4,181.45. Up here it says round your answer to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to go ahead and call that 4,181.5 centimeters cubed. So again, all these prisms just follow that idea of finding the base volume or base area and multiplying it times the height. So this one I'm going to have my height going sideways. I'm going to pretend it's like a can like that. And my base would be pi times r squared. Well, they give me the diameter of the base, not the radius of the base. So if 6 is the diameter, the radius is 3. So that's how I'd find the area of the base. And then I just multiply it times the height of the can, or the height of the cylinder, and that's how I'll get my volume. So pi times 3 squared times 7 gives me 197.92, so I'm going to call that 9, and again feet cubed. So that should be good to get you started on these guys. By the way, in your book assignment, you may find some that look like a can, but they look like they're not straight up and down, they're like tilted a bit. If they're tilted a bit, it's still the same formula, area of the base times the height of the cylinder. So make sure you get that taken care of, and good luck.